Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I wanted to do a quick video here on Saturday before I headed out for the evening. I got some mail that came in over the last couple of days, so I thought I'd kind of share that with you. But I wanted to kind of start with just a little bit with a kind of complaint about PSA, which I'll show you in a minute, and has a lot to do with this. I had not a good card experience. Both probably, I mean, I didn't submit this personally to PSA, but when it came back from PSA, I'm sure the person that did probably expected something a little bit better from them as far as how they encased the card. So I wanted to kind of go over that, but also how it was shipped to me. It was lucky it got to me in one piece. So I'll talk a little bit about that now. So I'll show you the card closer up in a minute too when I turn the camera around, but I was able to get another Diamond Star, so this was actually card number, like, now I'm down to just 9 more, so I think that's card number 87 that I have for the set of the 96 that I'm working on. And it was in the PSA holder. I've been looking for it for a while. It's one of the last ones I need from the first 24 cards that were released in the set. Now this one was printed in 35 as opposed to 34, which is fine with me. The 36 actually is one of the high numbers. So this card only has this number 15 over the course of 2 years, as opposed to 3 years like some of the others. But I found it at a good price. I was able to pick it up, and it took a little over a week to get here, which wasn't the concern. But when it arrived, this is kind of being a little bit more on the seller. It wasn't the card itself. The case wasn't protected by a perfect fit sleeve or something similar to it, nor was it protected by any cardboard. It was just put in a bubble mailer, so it just kind of fell out when I opened it. But I mean, anything could have happened along the way that would have cracked this case. I mean, they're pretty delicate. They're not that firm that it would have not had an issue. But my problem with like PSA, so that was with the seller. So I'm obviously going to give a little bit of feedback there, just some constructive feedback in my comments to them about how to pack this maybe a little bit better going forward for any of the cards that they're selling if they choose to do so. And thank you for the purchase, or thank you for the item, and I'm glad it arrived safely, but like the chances of it getting damaged were pretty high the way they packaged it. But my problem with PSA is you can see in this holder that it's not a perfect fit holder. So PSA does this from time to time. I do have some cards in my cases over here that aren't in a case that's really intended for a card this size. And for the most part, I don't have problems with them like being like not resting in there perfectly, like this one. I'll show you a little bit more closely in a minute. But they're like in a little baggies inside the plastic casing that we have here. So it's kind of like a glorified top loader if you really kind of think about it. It's not what the quality you're wanting to be able to purchase when you're trying to get something back from PSA. And I don't know the reasons they do that. I mean, obviously they put it in like a little sleeve so it fits in there better because it's actually probably the size of more of a standard card, a standard card that we've like seen in the hobby since 1957. So this card is clearly not going to fit in it very easily. So I think that's why they put it in like a little sleeve to put in there, and hopefully it didn't shift around. Well, this one did. I don't know what point it did shift around, but now I'm trying to figure out how I can kind of get this more centered in here before I put it in my case. So they have cases that are perfectly sized for this. I think this happens when they run out of them and they want to get the order back to someone quickly. I just feel like it's kind of cutting a corner, and it's not. If I were to submit something to PSA today, I would want the card to be perfectly fitted in the holder. I wouldn't be happy with what this is. Granted, it'll be fine in my set and my thing here, but if I was the one submitting it, I would want it to look better. And I'd have to give like SGC a little bit more credit here. I know it's all under the same umbrella now, but they have perfect size holders for their cards. They're customly made for the cards, and you rarely ever have anything that's not in the right holder when you get something for SGC. But I find that it happens a lot with like more pre-war stuff with PSA. And if they're really trying to like take over the vintage market, and I know SGC's kind of had a big share of it over the years, and they're very good at what they do in that area. And maybe that's still what they're going to be kind of doing for them going forward, and that would be fantastic. But they need to do better. Like, this looks like crap. Imagine if this was a 33 Gaudi Ruth in there and it was just kind of tossed in. It looks like it's just tossed in a plastic bag. You'd be pissed. I would be pissed for sure. And I would ask for like demanding it to come to be reholded at the National. And I would want it to have it done for free. you know, but I don't know if it probably would make you pay, but you know, I think that's the kind of like customer service I would expect from them, and they don't do. And it's just not something that they are really custom in doing. As opposed to SGC, probably they would actually like have done that if like I had really kind of complained about it, and if it was that was an issue with a card. So I'll turn the camera on in a minute, but I have some other stuff that's not going to fit in front of the camera that I wanted to kind of share with you for a minute. Last Thursday, I attended the Oasis concert here in Chicago at Soldier Field. The same night at the White Sox game, they had a custom bobblehead of Ice Cube. They had Ice Cube in a White Sox hat to kind of commemorate him making the hat. He and a lot of the other Los Angeles rappers making the hat so famous in the early 90s when the White Sox changed from their hat that they used in the late 80s into the hat that's kind of known throughout baseball in the United States, the black hat with the white emblem on it. So this is going to go in my display case somewhere over here, the ones down here. I'm not sure where. I have to take it out of it soon to be able to do that, but there it is. Ice Cube bobblehead. At some point I want to kind of get the Los Angeles Dodger one too. The next item was actually a book. It's a hardcover book that I ordered, and I got inspired to do it after I was watching a live stream done by Alex Bowman 53 earlier last month when they had a guest on there that was doing a review of the T202 set. I believe that's the right designation. And the title of the book is One Splendid Season. So it's the trifolder cards, and it's kind of capturing the 1912 season. And there it is. So I haven't had a chance to really even look at it. It came yesterday, and I haven't had a chance to really look at it, but it looks like it's going to be fantastic. What's really kind of cool about it is, you know, the guy like collected the set first, enjoyed the card so much, he wanted to do something with it and write a book about it, not just building the set, talking about the cards itself, but also the season they talk about through all the black and white photography that's on here and the players that are featured on the sides of the card with those tobacco cards. So I'm looking forward to looking through it in the next few days. Looks like it's a lot of fun, something I'm going to really kind of enjoy looking at. Not so something that would be so easily brought when you're traveling though. So, you know, that's maybe the one downside of it, but probably couldn't capture those cards so clearly if it was something bigger or something smaller, I should say. All right, so sorry for the little bit of the rant to start things off. I'm gonna turn the camera around briefly and show you the two cards that came in that are gonna go into my displays here, and it won't be any surprise what I have to share with you. One of them's one I already did. We'll do that one more closely. And the other one's not going to be a surprise either. It'll be a player that's very familiar if you watch my channel. All right, camera's flipped around now. So let's start with that Diamond Star. This is actually the Dick Bartell card. So as I mentioned, he is part of the High Series too. I think he's card number 101 in the High Series. This is card number 15, which was featured first in the 34 release, reissued in 35, and that's what this one is. Again, you can always tell in the back when you look at not so much the copyright date, but actually what were the stats that were listed for the player, because it'll always have the previous season. It talks about his 34 season, in which he batted .310. It's kind of interesting. So it looks like he's actually on the pitching in this particular photograph, even though he was not a pitcher, he was a shortstop. But it's just kind of weird the way it was kind of designed, I think, because it kind of gives, I always thought this was a pitcher card when I first looked at it to learn more about him. So to get to my issue with it, as you can see more closely here, it's not centered in here. I have to kind of like knock this around a little bit to try and see if I can get it to lay more flush with the bottom of the holder before I put it in my case, because otherwise it's really going to stand out like a sore thumb. And I'm not happy with that. So, but anyway, I don't think it looked that way when it shipped. So that's kind of also a little bit of a disappointment. All right, and the final one I got is I won this one at auction. I've been actually looking for this card for well over a year, and one came up in an SGC 10. So I wasn't sure what it would go for, but definitely got it at the price that I'm comfortable with. It is an SGC 10. This is the 2002 Topps Chrome Sapphire update. This is commemorating him being 9th on the all-time hit list when he actually is 10th on the all-time hit list. But there you go. It's the green refractor numbered out of 75. It's going to go into my Albert Pujols case here shortly. Those are the cards I have to share with you this week. I'm going to work on getting my complete set video out here shortly. Probably will be released at some point later in the coming week. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening, all of your football-filled Sunday, and obviously Monday night when the Chicago Bears kick off their season. I will see you all again soon.